So what does that make me? Antique.
Yeah.
And the car stank of mouse wee without a screen. It's not as fancy as George's.
Oh,
You're
that's
off
me
again.
again.
Is yours going?
We're good.
Okay. Hello, welcome to the video. This isn't Andrea.
No.
Normally Andrea's sat there. Hello, George.
I'm Andrea today. I'm George. Hello, Retro Reselling.
Yes, you may have seen a recent vlog where George was snooping around in the shed. Well, this is kind of part 2 to that. I put out a few posts asking for questions. So we have some questions and we're going to run through those and grill you about stuff.
Grill me.
Grill you. Excellent. Right, so TikTok. I put a TikTok out.
Fancy.
I know, I'm on TikTok, who knew? I got one question from TikTok from our neighbour, so we'll start there.
Is that the one I can see?
She lives just there. So for Nikki, she wants to know, who is George Ross?
I am an Essex boy. I'm a full-time online reseller as Nick. I do it on YouTube, so buy stuff cheap, charity shops, boot sales, auctions, sell it online on eBay, Depop, Etsy, Vinted. Oh no, not Vinted, sorry. Not yet. You're not allowed, I've been banned. Yeah, I do that and I do it online. Full-time dad to 3 children, 2 dogs, wife, and I muddle my way through it.
Good stuff. So we first met, I think, at a jumble sale.
I think I noticed where your jumble sale was and I saw it was on, so I was like, oh. I just started YouTube as well, so a bit of footage.
And then I went to George's where I had a mooch around your old shed.
Yep.
And then we've been trying to arrange for you to come visit. In the meantime, we've moved house, you've bought a house.
Yep.
And we
Yep.
finally got it sorted. So anyway, we're going to crack on with a few questions. That was who was George Ross. Okay, so I've got a question from the Jarrow reseller. This is one for you. Will there be a new tax shed in 2024 bigger and better than the last orange foam one? Merry Christmas to you both.
Merry Christmas. Who is it? Jarrow?
Yes.
So, yes, 2024 is in the plans for me to have a proper workshop shed made of wood, not created by me or sprayed by me. So, the reason for the metal shed in the old house, we was with a housing association, so it was renting. We were planning on moving anyway, so now we own our place. So we're not going to be moving out anytime soon. So I want it to be a proper building that's made proper and add value to the house, hopefully. I'm in that crew now. So yeah, 2024, yeah, hopefully 6 by 3 metre is what I'm looking at. Electrics, lights, the whole shebang. So I can work from home, look after Lenny, the little one, do my orders. So 2024, big things should be happening, touch wood.
Yeah, like you said, now you own your house. It's worth spending a lot of money on doing that properly.
Yeah, it's going to cost a lot, but should add just as much as well.
Okay, UK Silver asks, question for George and Nick, how close-knit is the reseller community? This fascinates me. Are there factions and cliques? I watch American reseller channels and some of them get quite riled up with each other, possibly a competitive thing, but also a bit of bitching, methinks. Do you want to go first on that?
I'd say, especially if you're on YouTube, Instagram, there's definitely, it feels like a close-knit community. Like I follow people on Instagram I haven't met in person and I message them, they ask me questions, I see their stories of what they picked up. So it's definitely an easy bunch to get along with. I think with the YouTube side, like more content creators, you do see little groups, but it's not like, I don't see bitchiness or anything. It's just, I think like, yeah, there is little groups, but I don't think there's any hard feelings or anything. Not that I've seen anyway.
We've had comments in the, I used to be in Facebook groups, for example. I came out of those a while back. It just got quite stressful.
Yeah.
And it used to be levelled at us that we had our own clique. And the thing with that is, it's just life. Like we have a close group of friends, you know, we go and visit Carla and Lex and those, and that's been levelled at us that we've created a clique. We all have close friends, and then we have acquaintances, and then we have, you know, we don't see each other that often.
No.
But we're friends. And then there's a lot of people within the community I don't even know, but it's just natural, right?
Yeah.
Is there bitchiness? I don't see a lot of it because I'm not in the group, so I don't know what's
I'd
said.
say, yeah, Facebook, that's why I left them, because it was like that. But I wouldn't say groups, more just individuals trying to get one on top of each other. I think that's very much what Facebook is. But Instagram is a bit more community-led, like you tag each other in stories.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a bit more positive. But and then there is meetups as well. So I went to the Reseller Summit in Derby, going again in March. That was like brilliant. Been to the Hitcher meetups, hopefully going to this one. I missed this year's. Yeah, I always enjoy him. They're always really easy to talk to everyone.
Yeah. Do you reckon you'll be able to come in January to that then?
Yeah, I was planning to. Yeah, because I missed last year's and I like to come to him.
Yeah.
I always enjoy him, and yeah.
It's an interesting question, and I know what you're saying about in America that there's almost like feuds going on.
I think there's a big drama at the moment, or there was.
There was, yeah. It was all kicking off. I dare say there are people that have very strong opinions about me. In fact, I know there are people, and that's fine.
Yeah.
As for cliques, no, we have our friendship groups, and that's perfectly natural. Next, Tara Lane Williams, hi Tara, asks, being an Essex boy, does George like Depeche Mode as much as you, Nick? Do you even know who they are?
I know who they are. I know the odd song or two, but yeah, Essex boy, born and bred. No, it's not my sort of thing. I'm more, well, I've always been more the heavier side. So you're talking your Slipknots, Korn, Metallica, that sort of thing. But I do go into lighter stuff, like off the top of my head, I don't know, I'm being put on the spot, but it is mainly the heavier stuff I like. But
I seem to remember we had a conversation once about Sum 41. Weren't you into them?
I am still into them. They're releasing their last ever album actually next year.
They?
Yeah,
I didn't even know they were still going.
Yeah, they're still going. They're releasing their last album next year, and then they're calling it quits, I think. So
Wow, because Blink 182 came back as well.
yeah, they've come back, and then Sum 41 are finishing, and yeah.
Wow.
That's my sort of scene. More guitars, drums, can be heavy and light, and everything in between really. So
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question, Tara.
So, my first question from my subscribers to you, Nick. If you could go back 25 years, what would you pick up that back then was everywhere, but now no one wanted? No one wanted.
It would be video games that were everywhere.
So we're talking 25, that's 98? Yeah, 98 going to 99 now.
Well, that's kind of when I started reselling. I was
There you go.
part-time at that point, and I was finding a lot of Nintendo. Game & Watch I was finding regularly.
I was going to say that.
Super Nintendo stuff was still out there. The kind of collector's market hadn't really...
So it was video gaming a collectible type thing then? Right?
It was, but it was more niche.
Yeah.
It's a huge thing now.
It's more nerdy then, whereas now it's
Yeah.
sort of more normalised, isn't it?
So I guess I would hoover up. I mean, I was hoovering up quite a lot of it, but I would go full on.
Well, what's that? So 98, 99. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, so Furbies were around then. Pokemon. You'd get all your Pokemon. That's what I'd do. If I
Oh
could
my
go back.
god! Yeah,
Get the unsealed boxes of cards and just put them in the loft.
wasn't that when it started? Was it 98? It started.
Around then, I was trying to think of the trading cards, but was it Logan Paul or a YouTuber bought an unsealed or a sealed pack of the original cards for like $1 million or something? Something like that. But yeah, that's what I'd probably do. Get some cards, not
Yeah.
too big. Don't break them. Don't.
The thing is, with hindsight, we would all be millionaires, right?
Yeah, there's stuff right now you can get easily that in 25 years, in 2040, whatever, 2050, why didn't I just buy it and put it away? But
To be honest, if I could go back there now, I'd buy Apple shares.
yeah, or Bitcoin, even though that was their thing.
It probably wasn't even a
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
But yeah, buy Apple stock. There you go. That's what I do with all my money. But we don't have a crystal ball, and we can't see into the future. So
That's
we
part of the fun of it.
I mean, when we had a retail store, we used to get sealed packs of Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering cards. If I'd have just put a few of those away, we used to.
Makes
we
you
used
feel
to
sick now.
we had accounts with Nintendo, and we'd get boxes full of sealed Pokemon games that are now worth hundreds and hundreds each sealed. Anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
Good question.
Quick fire one. Gotta be quick. Nintendo or Sega?
Nintendo.
Same here, Nintendo. I think I grew up with the N64. We was talking about growing up in the 90s and stuff earlier. And yeah, just getting my N64 that Christmas. I think, what was that, 98 Christmas, 1997? I can't remember now.
One of those, yeah.
That was my favourite ever Christmas present. I've got it on video as well, so I can watch it back. But yeah, that's the best ever console I think I've ever had. I liked my Xbox 360 when it was online for the first time. But yeah, I still got my original Nintendo console as well with the original GoldenEye. So yeah, hands down for me.
Yeah, well, I'm that little bit older than George. So my first computer stroke console was a ZX Spectrum. But my absolute favourite of all time is the Super Nintendo. Kind of your experience, but the previous generation. I was there the day it was released with all the money I'd saved up from my paper round to buy a Super Nintendo, and it's still, in my opinion, the greatest console of all time. But I had an N64, had the original black and white Game Boy, I had a GameCube, had a Wii, Switch. Nintendo is my thing.
Well, I was thinking Sega. I did have a Master System 2, the bread bin I think it's called, before my N64, but I don't really remember it that well, not many attachments. Didn't have a Saturn, Sega Saturn. What else is there? A Sega. Dreamcast, I didn't have that. So yeah, Nintendo I've got lots of memories attached to. So yeah, easy winner for me.
Nintendo.
So we've been to the past 25 years ago. How about next year? It's almost a new year, 2024. I guess a question for both of us, but any tips on what we should be looking out for in a new year to resell?
Looking out for in the new year.
Oh,
you're
it's
off
me
again.
again. It's probably a rubbish offer. I know it's sold. It's part of my collection.
What's that? Your own personal stuff?
Yeah, I've been selling off the Jurassic Park stuff. As we've moved, I cleared the loft. I was like, is this sitting here? I might as well just get the money for it. 3 birthday cards for 30 quid.
Nice.
Show the camera and yours. 3 original 1992 Jurassic Park birthday cards for 30 quid. Not bad. But looking out for next year.
Well, if we're talking about January, something to look out for in the charity shops is people selling on stuff they got gifted and it's still sealed.
Yeah.
You can grab some bargains. It is getting harder to grab a bargain in charity shops, there's no doubt. But again, at boot sales, people will be passing on gifts they didn't want.
Exercise stuff, running trainers, like gym stuff. Sweaty Betty is a good brand anyway, but
people do want to lose the pounds in the new year.
yeah, I do. But
we fit sometimes pick up a bit. I've given up buying them, but we were chatting earlier about the 90s. You're a 90s baby, and I grew up in the 90s. 90s stuff in general is becoming collected and sought after. So it's a big niche, but 90s is totally the next big thing. In fact, it's already the big thing, I think, for collectors. The toys, the decor, the homewares, 90s.
And to note, 2004 will be vintage. So 2000 to 2004, that era, they're already grown up. So kids born in 2004 are going to be 20 years old next year.
So what does that make me? Antique?
Yeah. For me, like the fashion, where I pick up clothes and shoes, as soon as I see a pair of like Nike trainers from early 2000s, I'm grabbing it straight away. And it sells on Depop like that. So
exactly.
Every year that rolls around, another year rolls around, that's vintage. So the following year, 2005, when me and Amy met, will be vintage, which is scary. So
you're getting old.
We're all getting old.
Yeah. But quickly about 90s, I mean, you mentioned clothing there. The whole 90s thing, over the last 5 years, you've seen that become, the values go up and up and up on 90s stuff. 90s jacket, you've had some great stuff. 90s jackets and trainers and all of that stuff. We don't do much in the way of clothing, but if you're into clothing, 90s is well worth looking at.
Yeah.
Sebi Sells. This is for you. When sourcing at a boot sale, would you rather have lobster claws as hands or a mermaid tail instead of legs?
Lobster claws, or
Jeff?
There might just be payment. I know some more birthday cards.
I bet it's the same buyer.
Probably.
Hang on, we might have to cut this bit out. He's seen a dog.
So I'm trying to think logically. Obviously, lobster claws, they're like hands, you can still pick stuff up. Whereas a mermaid tail, you're going to be out of the water. So you're just going to be flopping on the floor, trying to go around a boot sail. I think that's quite easy, actually. Lobster claws, for me.
That was my logic. When I saw that question earlier, I thought I'd want my legs so I can whiz round.
Oh, yeah.
And you just say, can you pass me that over there? We're both going lobster claws.
Yeah.
Okay, so what things do you enjoy doing that make you happy when not working?
Not working. Free time.
Free time.
What is this foreign thing?
What is free time?
Okay, so if I'm not reselling or anything, it's usually family time. Obviously, I've got, what age are they? 13, 11 and a 2-year-old. So yeah, very full-on family mode at the minute. So yeah, days out, if we have a family holiday or take the dogs out, etc. And me personally, I like my football still, so watching Arsenal, listening to music, but most of the time I'm working in some sort of capacity. So yeah, free time is very limited in a minute.
If I were to answer that question, I like travel. We like to visit different towns in the UK, go away for short breaks. Music, apart from that, my life is music. Collecting, I've got back into collecting. I have a huge vinyl collection now, which I started in lockdown. I spent a fortune during lockdown on vinyl, and it hasn't stopped. So yeah, music really, and going out exploring places, I'd say.
Yeah, we like seeing different towns and that, but it's always linked back to reselling. So we'll go to that town's charity shops. So, and your obviously record collection, I'm guessing you're thrifting some of them, maybe.
Yeah.
Charity shops, record shops, eBay. So reselling is always nearby. It rarely escapes fully.
Well, wherever we go charity shopping.
Same, yeah.
Because it's something we've got, this is me and Andrea, obviously, not we. Something we've got in common is that we enjoy thrifting. So if we go away for a weekend to an Airbnb, we almost inevitably end up in the charity shops.
Yeah.
Because although it's work, that's also fun for me. So.
Yeah, I find it fun. Amy likes the charity shop. She doesn't do the selling bit. She did try it once, but it wasn't for her. But yeah, she likes a charity shop, just not as obsessive as me, really. Whereas I'll carry something massive. If we're at the beach in like Felixstowe, for example, I think I did actually buy something quite big and heavy, and then it was placed on the beach with us, and then to the car, and then back home.
It's always you always find the biggest, heaviest thing in the first shop.
Exactly, and it was the first shop. I had to go back for it, so there we go.
Specs Are Cool asks, what is the worst item you've picked up as a reseller? Something that has cost a lot and hung around a while, or perhaps an item you were convinced would sell big but ended up bombing?
Bought a 10-foot T-Rex leg, which should have been from the original Jurassic Park film. Obviously being a Jurassic Park fan, sending the birthday cards. But we thought was the original T-Rex leg. But me and my friend Joel, we went 50-50. It was on eBay as an auction. It was in Norwich. It was in like a dinosaur themed theme park. And yeah, £800 to 400 each. Hired a van to get there. Hired storage to store it. And was contacting all the directors, all the makers at the time. And we couldn't like concrete, like yes, it was that one. And there's just a few differences from the screen and that. So we had to set it as a prop because we couldn't rubber seal it. So it ended up selling for 1,000. So 800 to 1,000. We made profit, but we've hired a van, had to store it. So once you took that into consideration, we probably broke even. Maybe a small loss, but we thought thousands and thousands. Like, wow.
And you've got to take those risks though, because that could have been amazing.
Yeah, if the guy, like the studios where it was made, if they said yes, and then we had written proof,
yeah,
what would that be worth? That'd be worth more than 800 quid, I like to think.
Yeah. No, I think you did the right. If in doubt, take the chance. I kind of use as a yardstick with this stuff, but yeah.
And to add to that as well, before I was full time and before I was married, I had to borrow the wedding savings money to buy that leg, and it had to be sold before the wedding. So that was the added jeopardy, but it managed to sell in time, and I'm still married now, so it all worked.
It didn't quite end the relationship.
No, there's there's been a few pickups where it's been testing. Like at the moment in our front room, we've got 2 Urkel armchairs that I've bought to resell, and we're using them currently. But Amy actually quite likes them.
So my story isn't so much about a kind of financial fail or something I thought would be worth a fortune. But it's an item I regretted buying fairly quickly. So I bought a set of bowls. I think we've both bought and sold lawn bowls for a long time.
Yeah.
At a boot sale, looked in at, they were in their carry bag, looked in, decent make bowls, how much do you want for these, £5, whatever, done. Didn't think about it, in the trolley. Went back to the car, chucked them in the car, back in the boot sale. A few hours later, hot sunny day, get in the car to go home, and the car stank of mouse wee. I didn't know that's what it was at the time. Got home, unpacking the car, and I got to this bowls bag and it hit me. There'd been a nest of mice in the bottom of this bag. They'd eaten the kind of little towels and that and made a nest out of it, and then weed in it everywhere. So the bag and everything and its contents, apart from the bowls, went in the bin, and then I had to disinfect the bowls, and I couldn't get the stink out of them for ages. So that was an instant regret. Although I managed to sell them for good money, the stink in the car lingered. It was disgusting.
No. So one for Nick specifically, as it's to do with media. When you send a bundle of media, say 3 CDs, DVDs, who do you use and what size, weight, etc.? So I guess just general postage. Who do you use and why?
We use Royal Mail now for 99% of everything. I used to use couriers a lot more if it was cheaper for certain sizes and stuff, but now we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. You'll attest to how middle of nowhere we are.
Yeah.
We've got a post office like 20 foot from our door, so I try and use Royal Mail for most things. Going back to the media, if I did sell a bundle of 3 CDs, for example, I can still send that as a large letter. DVDs is different. You can do 2 side by side as a large letter, but there's no way of getting 3 to go as a large letter. But to be honest, prices with large letters have hopped up quite a lot now, and
it's jumped quite a bit, hasn't it?
It's tough to make money on single media, and I am doing less than I've ever done for that very reason. That after postage and fees, is it worth fiddling around with cheap media? Simple answer is no, but I still love it. It's where I started in record shops, and it's still what I love to do, is rummage through media.
Yeah, that's what I say to people when they say, what should I start reselling? I say, start with what you know and what you love, because like if I was to do loose Lego, I'd soon not do it because I don't like it, I don't enjoy it as much. It's all right, but like if I was doing that full time, yeah, it'd soon go. But whereas I like my vintage, my retro shoes and all that, yeah, do what you know, like media, I probably wouldn't touch it as much, but 100%. That's your passion, so it makes it worth it.
Well, it's a lot easier to deal with stuff that you're excited about or you have knowledge of. We can all learn new niches, but there's nothing like, I love selling records because I've been into it my whole life. I'm a record collector myself. So it's not like work.
No,
you know,
exactly.
If you bought someone's collection of Jurassic Park, you'd be like a pig in the proverbial, wouldn't you? You'd love it and make money out of it. It's
exactly.
Win-win.
My postage, I have quite a few, I have a selection. So sort of if it's cheap and light, it goes every. If it's a bit more expensive and light, Royal Mail, because I trust them a bit more than every, with like a £50 plus item. Medium and more expensive, DPD or UPS or Parcel Force. So yeah, being in Braintree, in Chelmsford, it was perfect. I had every courier going within like a circle drive.
So
now in Braintree, I think that's most of them. UPS is a bit harder, but again, being in a sort of like a town, I got most of the drop-offs, so I can be more selective. So,
yeah, I used to, I would rate UPS actually, and I used to use UPS quite a lot, and Parcel Force. I wouldn't touch Yodel with a barge pile. I've only had bad experiences with Yodel. Have you tried?
I have in the past. I did rank all the couriers and they came bottom, but recently they've changed and I've trusted them more than every, which is quite interesting.
Okay. I used to use what was Hermes quite a lot, and I never had any major issues with them. They have a bad reputation, but touch wood, I didn't have too many problems, but I don't really use them now. Everything goes Royal Mail. keep it simple, walk over the road, drop off a sack. That's all I do.
Yeah. So this is from Lewis, again on Instagram, on my one. What things have gotten easier and or more difficult since you first started reselling on eBay compared to today? So when did you start on eBay? Late 90s, is it? I
started part-time selling personal stuff in 98, 99. I think at the end of 98. What's got easier? The technical side of it's got easier. We've now got smartphones. I use my phone for photographs and drop them straight into the drafts. So I will draft on my laptop and then drop the photos straight in. All of that is so streamlined, so quick. Uploading takes no time. We were on dial-up back in the day. We used to have this great big digital camera and it was such a faff. So the actual
is all tracked on the website and that, I guess.
Yeah, you can buy postage through eBay now if you want to go that route. That's a lot simpler. So the nuts and bolts of how you do it is considerably easier. What is harder, particularly in some of the niches I like to buy in, it's harder to get the stock because let's talk about where I started buying and selling video games. Everyone knows that niche now. So it's harder to find the good stuff because everybody's out there with the knowledge that it's worth money.
That's our fault. Put it on YouTube.
That's our fault.
That's another question.
Well, yes, we might get to that. Question from Craig6986. Why doesn't he, that's you, why don't you dig into media? There's so much money in games and consoles, but he always avoids it. Do you avoid it? I've seen money on his videos and I always think, pick it up.
I'm thinking when I go to a charity shop, I might gaze my eye over the media and the books, but yeah, I probably do avoid it. Probably because with my limited space and time, I want higher markups. So I am looking at the shoes, for example, because I'm more likely to find a £40-50 item. Whereas I think media, it's harder to find that sort of item maybe. Even though the quick turnover, quick money, on a list like 5 things worth more money rather than list 20 things, if that makes sense. So plus the passion as well. So I'm not really too bothered by media. Sort of in the Netflix era and that. I wasn't really a film buff. I like my selected music, but I didn't have to have the physical copy really.
Yeah.
Back in the days of LimeWire, like download it for free.
I think that's a big part of it for me, and why I still buy and sell media is I grew up collecting CDs and vinyl, and I'm still into that. So
I could learn it, but I haven't got that drive to. So I think you need the drive. I think I've said it before, but have a passion and follow that passion. So
yeah,
that might be why. Plus, with all the competition as well, if everyone bought the same thing, it would soon run out. But that's why I diverse in a lot of different areas, but media just isn't one of them.
Harwich Life Through the Lens asks, question for you both. What effect do you think YouTube has on your sales? Shall I start? Because I've got a good answer for that.
Yeah, go on.
YouTube has been amazing for my sales, as in putting myself out there and having an audience that likes to support what we do. It's been a huge surprise that being out on YouTube has benefited our eBay store, but it really has. To a point now where we'll do a haul and we'll get people message us on Instagram saying, I really like that so-and-so, you know, that vase that Andrea showed last night, how much do you want for it? And we'll sell stuff just from doing a haul. Our eBay store now has thousands upon thousands of followers who watch the store, and when stuff comes up they're interested in, they like to support what we do and buy from us. And I'm so humbled by that.
Yeah.
The short answer to the question is, what effect has YouTube had on my sales? It's been a massive positive for us.
I might be the opposite actually. Not opposite like it's bad, but more, I do sell to subscribers, but maybe a couple of times a month, maybe one a week. So it might be because I don't do so much the cheaper stuff, like pocket money sort of stuff, maybe you could say.
Yeah.
And I try top dollar, but obviously I'm always willing to do a deal for a subscriber. But I think, yeah, I do sell to subscribers, like I said, but it's not as often as people might think. like if I do a haul, it all sells out because of the video, whereas mine isn't really like that at the moment. But
It makes sense because if you're selling maybe more niche and more high-end expensive stuff, that's a big purchase. Whereas,
yeah,
because I do a lot of the media and the vinyl,
I'll buy that film or that CD. Yeah,
yeah, to a viewer it's like, oh, I love that band. I'm going to grab that because Nick's got it and I'd like to support what he does.
Message for Nick, back to my Instagram. What do you feel the short-term future looks like for reselling? I feel like more people are asking and getting the value they should be getting for their items. I'm seeing this both in the field and online. The nature of this due to content producers like yourself educating a community that previously didn't do this. I am one of them. Even in the short time I've been doing this, 3 years or so, I've seen a dramatic change. It's quite a long one, so if you break it down, what's the short-term future look like?
I think with a mind to that, what we do and how we do it, as in me and Andrea, has changed and evolved. I mean, we're like over 20 years into reselling in various different forms, and we've had to change and adapt and evolve as we go because nothing stays still, and it's not going to. So I dare say there will be some changes, but I wouldn't like to predict what they are. You just have to change with it. Try and be ahead of the curve if you can.
Yeah.
What was it? What's the other part of that?
So I know it gets on to about like content creators putting it out there. Are we making a rod for our own back? Is that the phrase?
Yes.
I think that's the phrase, yeah. So yeah, people come and go all the time. When I first started YouTube, January 19, Jesus, I've been doing it 4 years nearly already, or more. But what was I saying? Yeah, people come and go all the time. So I saw commenters, like people that comment on my videos back then that I don't see anymore because they might have come in, gone out, they found out it is actually a hard job because it's not easy money, not get rich quick. Obviously, there is probably a downside, like there probably is more competition, but I still got loads of stuff that I need to shift. So
with that question in mind, everything is shared, every aspect of our lives, everybody's different careers. If you look on YouTube and you want to learn how to be a roofer or a plumber or a reseller, it's all out there, and it was going to be out there. I mean, when I started sharing what I do to earn a living, as in reselling on YouTube, there was a huge backlash because there was very few of us out there talking about it. That has calmed down now because I think people are accepting that we are in the information sharing social media age. It was never going to stay a secret if it ever was a secret. Has it affected my business? We just touched on that before with the question about has YouTube been a positive or whatever the question was. Sharing what I do has only been positive in my experience. Has it changed the game? Has social media changed the game? Yes. Has it been a negative for me? No.
Yeah, same. And the best example you said about being a roofer, but I recently changed kitchen tap, and I've done that because of YouTube, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be a plumber. I'm not going to suddenly refit our bathroom. So I might save money and a bit of time doing the kitchen tap, but so someone might dabble at the charity shops or a boot sale. It doesn't mean they're going to become a full-blown business empire of reselling. You might get the odd one or two, like someone might become a plumber because of a YouTube video, but it's not going to destroy that person's channel or that business. So my numbers have been up and up year on year. So yeah, and what I give out in information I've learned from someone else as well, on not just YouTube, Instagram. Yeah, so there's so much knowledge. Like the media, I don't touch media and I don't feel the need to because I've got all my other knowledge from elsewhere. So
the market has changed. Everyone likes to talk about charity shops looking things up on eBay, actually selling their stuff on eBay. They were always going to do that. Yeah. And I think it's a very lazy thing to say that's all Nick's fault that you know, Cancer Research has an eBay store or whatever. That was going to happen. They're not blind to technology, they're not blind to the internet, and they should be trying to get the most out of their stuff. So yeah, this sort of argument has been going on since I started on YouTube. But there are now, just in the UK, probably hundreds of channels now, I don't know.
Yeah, there's channels, like I'll refresh my YouTube homepage and there'll be a reselling channel I've never heard of, like with a couple of hundred views. So yes, you started it, it's all your fault. And I soon joined on.
No, Tom the English pick. If you want to find where Tom was before me, blame Tom.
All blame Tom.
Jamie D123. How do both of you see reselling on eBay heading over the next 2 years for ourselves, for our businesses?
Oh, for our businesses, okay. So I'm continuing on eBay. It's like probably 80, maybe more % of my sales. I'm always open to cross-listing, like I am. I sell on Depop, I sell on Facebook every now and then. I'm hoping Vinted will open up to their pro account so you can sell professionally. So yeah, eBay, and I can't see it changing really, unless something does change, like Vinted Pro.
Live selling, you mentioned.
Live selling, of course, yeah. So again, I'm focusing on eBay, keep that going, that's my income earner, and then I'm dabbling with these other platforms, and hopefully one takes off and can compete with eBay or do better.
What's your opinion on the live selling thing? Because I know we had the big Poshmark debacle, which they launched in the UK and then they pulled out within the year. Do you think that could be huge?
It's big in America because obviously you've got to be more up and ready, selling stuff. People are willing to buy stuff from content creators. I think that's in the UK a bit more reluctant. But like I've seen like Chaddy Pete, Lola, Luxury Pickers, just to name a few. Yeah, they've been selling well. Maybe margins aren't as good. Sometimes it's like, oh, if they made a loss there. But they're selling so much more. They can sell like 100 in a show like that.
Well, that's it. But then, as you just touched on, I suppose it depends if you've got a social media following.
That is the thing as well.
Whereas with eBay, anybody could go onto eBay and list some stuff.
Yeah.
And you've got all of eBay's audience. Where if you randomly go live on Whatnot and you don't have a following and you can't post on Facebook and Instagram to send everyone, is anyone going to care? Is anyone going to watch?
Yeah, but fully, like, if my mum, for example, was to sell a couple of things, she's not going to go live ever. And if she did, she would get no watchers or one watcher or something. So
I do feel like the whole live selling thing, unless eBay can make it work on their platform, that's one to watch. I'm quite excited for that. I feel like Whatnot is going to be a place for social influencers more than average sellers. I don't know.
I think with the football and trading cards, there are people on Whatnot that started on Whatnot and now have a following. So people browsing on Whatnot, they've seen a show, oh, they've got good stuff, I'll bookmark them or follow them. And then they build up, like the word gets around. Yeah. So you could, but again, it's all about putting yourself out there, creating that audience yourself. It's not like eBay go, there you go.
It could, this is the thing, it could be huge. None of us are any good at actually predicting the future. Yeah, it's certainly one to watch, the live selling. We've done our own version here on YouTube and that's been great for us. Yeah. And we are going to dabble in Whatnot, I think, once they open up to homewares and stuff. Andrea's going to try that out.
What was the question? So what's your eBay like over the 2 years for you? For me, sort of similar, I'd say.
The next 2 years are actually going to be interesting for us. We've got a lot of things going on. We want to get into launching an Airbnb. We have, you may have heard, we've been developing an app for quite a while. So there's the launch of the app, there's developing an Airbnb, making those things work. Where is reselling going to end up within all of that? It's a huge question, but our business has always evolved and changed, and we are still evolving and changing. In 2 years' time, I wouldn't like to say where our reselling would be.
If you was to start from scratch, like when you did first start, but in the year 2024, would you still go into bricks and mortar? Would you open your shop? Would you do how you do things now with an outbuilding?
If I could go back and start again.
But the year's 2024.
But it's now.
So shops aren't as good, for example, to have.
Well, when we actually started, we started on eBay and we started from home and we built it up from home. So I don't think that would be any different.
Do you still work from home now?
Initially. And see what we always did was we saw where the business took us. We didn't really push it and try and take it somewhere we wanted it to go. We kind of evolved into high street and then that took off. And then we came back out of high street and we just followed where the business went.
Okay.
So it would dictate it to us, I guess. But we'd start exactly the same. From home, keep the overheads low.
Yeah.
If we could fit it into our house, keep it in the house. But as you
But that's what I was trying to get onto. So you wouldn't just rush and get a unit, a shop, for example, now.
No.
As the high street struggling compared to the 90s when you started.
Definitely, the high street is a different ballgame altogether. Yeah. Although, kind of ironically, when we started our high street store, it grew into what a CX. Think of a CX, it was that.
Yeah.
CX was just starting its big expansion back then.
Okay.
And that's become a multinational, huge kind of corporation thing now.
Yeah.
I do often think, should we have tried to expand? Should we have set up other ones and built up a chain and got staff? Trouble is, we got burnt by staff. We had issues with staffing. We had issues with theft from staff, and we found it difficult to trust people after that.
Yeah.
So expanding and putting in managers and expanding that, I think would have been great for the business, but we struggled with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but there's a sort of answer to that question.
So it's basically stay at home if you can with low overheads and then see where you go from there.
Well, certainly keep your overheads as low as possible.
Yeah.
Which was what we did. We had a new baby. We were in a rented house. We didn't have the money, so we were trying to plough as much of that back into stock all the time.
Yeah.
So if we'd have gone straight into retail with the rent and the rates, it would have choked the business and it wouldn't have taken off. So we worked from home for the first, I don't know how long it was, a year, maybe 2 years, built it up, got some money behind us, and then went into retail. Diane Hackett asks, is there any job you would give up reselling for?
Oh gosh. I'm too old to be a footballer now. I don't have any more skills. I don't know, have you got one?
Hell yeah.
While I think.
If I could earn a living reviewing records for a living, if I could earn a living making YouTube videos talking about music, I would. If I could earn a living as a beer taster, that would be good. I mean, yeah, I don't do reselling because it's what I always wanted to do. I do reselling because it was a lifestyle choice, so I didn't have to work for anybody else. It's not like I always wanted to be a reseller, this is my dream job. Although I love it, there are many things I do and enjoy a lot more.
Yeah.
I could do, you know.
So I think off the top of my head. So I got into it because it gave me freedom. So I'm attached to that freedom that it's given me. So it'd be quite hard actually to give it up. And I've got the addiction of finding a bargain anyway.
But then design a job around working from home. Maybe you could be a YouTuber talking about Arsenal. Imagine talking about what you're passionate about and getting paid for it, which is kind of what we do in a weird way with YouTube.
So that's sort of what I do anyway. So
yeah.
I think ideally, because at the moment how do I describe it? I always confuse it. I'm a reseller on YouTube, but ideally it'd be a YouTuber that resells, because if one was going to pop off, as I say, YouTube's going to massively earn me more if the channel was to blow up.
If it weren't big, yeah.
Yeah, but to get that sort of income for reselling, I'd have to get a warehouse, I'd have to get staff, I'd have to put more hours in away from the family, away from the home. So I would ideally be more of a YouTuber that resells and still show stuff, but it won't be as intense. I have to go to charity shops, I have to go to boot sales. It'd be more comfortable, but...
Yeah, I would love to earn a living. There goes Jeff. I would love to earn a living out of YouTube. I was very open in a video about maybe 6 months ago about our earnings from YouTube. So we earn way more from reselling than we do on YouTube. But if I could find a niche and earn a living from YouTube, that would be perfect.
You sold something.
I didn't get oh.
It's because you're filming.
There's a notification, I've sold something. I think you're about 3-1 we're on now, I think, with sales. Anyway, I hope that answered your question. Yes, there are plenty of jobs I do, and drop reselling.
I have a quick one from Project Weaver, who says, just wanted to say thank you both. You are the OGs I started watching 4 years ago. Then a little fist bump and a heart emoji. So, yeah.
OGs? Is he calling me an old git?
Old guys.
Oh.
I'm not really the OG. It's you, Tom. We was talking about this earlier again. You, What was the original?
There was Tom,
resellers?
myself, Joe Pennies, as he called himself, and then Zahir came onto the scene. They were the kind of, and Caroline, Mrs. M, was making content. So yeah, there was a handful of us for the first year or so.
Yeah.
Jake Thompson asks, question for George, what is the best and most reliable product you buy and sell for the price you put into it? So is there something, what's your go-to stuff then? Most reliable?
Most reliable has to be footwear. I like my electronics, like VHS players, video cameras, but not reliable, especially video players. It can be working perfectly and then a bit of a rattle in the post, even if it hasn't had a bang. It could unalign and then it won't play. So yeah, not reliable. Trainers, I get my returns for trainers if they don't fit, but I can just resell them again. They're not going to smash. You might get a broken sole if it degrades, but yeah, I'd say they sell strong, they sell quick. I can resell them if they get returned. So yeah, definitely, yeah, footwear. For you as well?
Oh, for me, most reliable.
Is it media? That's your go-to, isn't it?
That's kind of changed, you see. That's evolved, moved on. Well, that is a good question.
I suppose maybe not as reliable because that Royal Mail could jump their prices up again and then there's even more.
Well, with media, a lot of us, you probably don't buy CDs anymore, for example, do you?
No.
Exactly, and that's most people now. So the market's dwindled with your audience for that. Although in saying that, vinyl sells quick and easily for me. So that's becoming more of a staple. Yeah, I don't know what else. I'll tell you a niche that I do enjoy is point and click cameras, 90s cameras.
Yes.
We always pick them up for £1 or £2.
Yeah, it could be battery eroded, but as long as the flash works, everything else tends to work.
Yeah, I've sold a few the last couple of weeks. Sold one for 30 quid that I think cost us £1. Another one went for 25 that was maybe 50p at a jumble sale.
Yeah.
Had a couple of cheap nasty ones that were maybe £1 each, but I just paired them up and they still went for 15 quid the pair to get them out the door.
I love a camera as well, yeah.
A boring one for you both. Do you think about pensions? Wow.
I have no pension.
How are you planning for retirement? That's a long way away for you. I think this must be an important one for resellers.
Yeah.
Well, I can touch on that quickly. When our retail outlet did really well for us and we were earning a lot of money, we put all of our money into our house. We got on the housing ladder as soon as we could and then we paid off the mortgage. So although we don't have a pension, when we get to that kind of retirement age, we will downsize our property and then have a huge chunk in the bank would be our plan. By the way, huge congratulations to you for getting on the property ladder. It was hard enough when we did it.
I was going to say, it was right for you baby boomers.
But it wasn't. I mean, we got on the housing ladder after the massive spike that there was. But God forbid how difficult it was for you guys. So,
yeah, well,
amazing.
It was almost timed horribly because we hated where we lived and outgrew it. Not a nice area. And it's like, we spoke to a mortgage person, like, yeah, we're all good to go. And then suddenly someone's looking in the window. So, Liz Truss came along, keeping it boring, and basically almost screwed our chances because all the interest rates went up and all the mortgage people panicked. But we just got in just before we went. Our mortgage rate is on the up compared to what it used to be, but it's not up here. What some people are having to pay now.
We made the decision that paying off the mortgage was us paying it forward for ourselves kind of thing. And I'm glad we did it. It was a lot of work and we sacrificed to make that happen. But yeah, I don't actually have an official pension that we pay into.
Talk to a financial advisor.
Yeah, don't take financial advice from us too. That's another thing. Quick one for you from Joan. Question for George. Is he and his family enjoying the new house and neighbourhood?
Nicely linked.
And after that, did you do the skydive?
I did do the skydive. There is a video on YouTube. Because I went to do it. It got cancelled. Because of the weather. Then we hit COVID. So it was another year and a half. But yeah, I did do it. There should be a video on my channel if you look it up. That's good.
So are you and the family enjoying the new house and neighbourhood?
Yeah. So yeah, talk about moving again. Yeah, we moved in June. We moved on I think the hottest weekend of the year this year. It was sweltering, but we're so much more happier now. We're in a nice neighbourhood with nice neighbours that actually have jobs, which helps. Yeah, it's a place we can call our own. We can do what we want to it, decorate how we want, and we just got to move. We got space to move. Like before, I did do a video showing our actual house when we moved out and just how small it was. Like we watched it back a couple of weeks ago, me and Amy, and like just anxiety from how small it was and that. So yeah, so much more happier. So yeah, hard work got us there. And it wasn't like that before. People, like if people see the channel, it's a quick 10-minute video and they might think, oh, I've got it easy and that. But we was in that small house for 10 years and 8 of them years we wanted to move out. So
Yeah.
slow saving, but yeah, got there eventually.
So a couple from Instagram. Tara asks, she wants some advice basically for someone struggling with a huge death pile, struggling with motivation and listing. Have you ever had a death pile problem?
Not completely out of control. I've had to be on buy bans and stuff. And how I tackle it is literally be brutal, grab a bag and list that bag until that bag or box is listed and done. You cannot move on until it's done. But then it is really satisfying when you've done it, empty box back or empty bag,
Yeah.
chuck it away and move on to the next one. Just that's all you can do really. Or if you do multiple different things like I do, focus on shoes or then focus on testing electronics and do bulk like that. They're the 2 ways I do it, and then just buy a bang and focus the mind really.
Well, I've been in that very situation a few times, having way too much to deal with. I suppose the advice is, the first one, if you can, stop sourcing. Stop sourcing and go sourcing in your stock.
Yeah.
Before we moved and I had to clear the loft, I loved it. I'd go up in the loft and find all this stuff I'd forgotten about. It was like it was new stock anyway. So if you get that itch to go buying more and you've got an out of control backlog, don't. Just go rummaging in your own stock and call that sourcing.
There'll always be secondhand stuff when you go buying again.
Yeah.
So
honestly, so if you can, stop sourcing. One. The next one is don't look at it as a whole backlog. Just pick out 5 things at a time and that's all you're focused on. Don't look at the rest of it. Just tiny little bits here and there.
and that was the best time. Obviously no boot sales on, so you could just focus, chill out at home, picture, list.
And if it's really out of control, try and go through it, and everything you're not that bothered about listing or there isn't much profit in, get rid of it.
Boot sale.
Boot sale it, have a big blowout, give it to charity, whatever, reduce it by 10-20%. We've done that before and that's really satisfying.
Yeah.
Just having a blowout at a boot sale with all the dodgy buys you had, or the stuff that really isn't worth dealing with, or the stuff you just don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
Even if you just get your money back on that, it's such a freeing process, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I even donate stuff just for the space can be more valuable than the stuff that I'm putting off and not worth as much. So
Yeah. But honestly, Tara, don't look at the whole mountain. Pick out little bits and focus just on that. Yeah, you'll get there, honestly. Again, on Instagram, hum90. Question to both. What software did you start out using making and editing your videos? And what do you use now? Interesting.
yes, I just when I started YouTube, I normally say to people, just start with your phone, like the cameras are good enough. But actually, when I had the GoPro Hero 7, and I used just iMovie on my iPad. And then once I learned all that, I wanted a few more effects and a few different things. So now I use LumaFusion. It's an app, again, on the iPad. I think it's on Android now. I think it's a one-off payment. I think it's like 25-30 quid, but then that's it forever. You can do loads on there. It's a one-off payment, and I still use that to this day. I think I've been using it 3 years now. So yeah, GoPro 9 now, LumaFusion, done.
I think I've pretty much always used iMovie and still do. I like to keep it simple. I actually edit a lot of mine in my iPhone on iMovie. I do some on my laptop. I film 90% of all my stuff on my iPhone, whatever iPhone I currently own, that's what I've used. I bought a second-hand GoPro many years ago, just a simple square one without a screen. It's not as fancy as George's. And then I lost that and I replaced it with exactly the same one. I don't like change. So I tend to keep it simple. So it's iPhone or an old GoPro, and I edit it all in iMovie.
I think that's one of the benefits of this sort of content. Like myself, I've struggled this year with YouTube. Like I was saying, I've done like 1 or 2 a month instead of 1 or 2 a week, which is what I want to do. I think I took the editing too far because it was taking too long. I want it to look all nice and flashy and whatever, like cut the scenes. But yeah, with my limited time, I need to make it more simple. So yeah, like a phone, cut the footage, done.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all flashy because we're just buying second-hand stuff and selling it at the end of the day.
The editing can take a long time.
Yeah.
I try and keep the video simple just because I've got to fit it in around everything else. I mean, you've got so much more going on than I do. I don't know how you fit in half what you do.
I have to choose, do I want to list on eBay or do I want to edit a video? I literally have to choose. So that's why eBay has taken priority, because that's my business.
It makes more money. Yeah. Simple as that.
If it was the other way around, I'd be editing.
Yeah.
So.
The Action Slacks says, let's see him review the app. I'm afraid that's not going to happen in this video. See if he has any ideas for features, etc. Well, when we have a public launch, we were talking about the app earlier and how it's been an incredibly long and stressful road to get here. And things have progressed. We are so close to getting the app all finished. I'm sure once it's out, we'll work together and talk about the app, and you can talk about it then on your channel. Yeah. That would be fantastic. But not for this video, I'm afraid. Chop, chop, busy, busy, work, work. BA 420 says, question for George. When you decide to ship a very large item like furniture, where do you start? Do you have to package it? All the best. Now, you used to do a lot of heavy, bulky stuff.
I used to do proper furniture like display units and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm selling 2 armchairs at the moment. There's a company, they've gone bust now, unfortunately. I'm sure there's something like similar, but they specialise with furniture and stuff. So they would plan their route throughout the week and they'd make multiple pickups and multiple deliveries. And it was like a set price. So for, say, an armchair, it would be 60 quid wherever in the UK. And then they collect from you at a certain time on their route and they deliver on a certain time. Which works quite well. There is any van, there is, but that's more like from place to place, so it can be more expensive.
I've sold the label stock. I sold some of that in bulk. I sold like half a pallet load. There's various companies you can find on Google where you can ship a pallet and they'll turn up and they'll take it anywhere in the UK for different prices depending on weight and height. So that's quite an economical way of doing it. I've done a few pallet loads of stuff in bulk and that's worked really well. I can't remember the names of the companies, but if you Google pallet, you can find their rates. That works.
That's one thing I've never done actually on a pallet. It's mainly with the furniture, there's like a multi-drop or delivery furniture company. Yeah, now when I just put on my listing, ask for quotes, they give me their postcode and then I go on any van. I think that's the one I use. Or Shipley, that's the other one. And you can get quotes and stuff. I think last question before we wrap up. What do you want for Christmas this year, Nick? As we're coming up to Christmas next week.
We were talking about this, Andrea and I, the other night. We don't really do gifts as such anymore. We tend to buy each other a weekend away or something like that. So when you get to be an old man, you just want experiences. I've got too much stuff.
You've got all the pencil socks you need.
Yes. So yeah, I don't need stuff. All I really buy for myself is vinyl. What about yourself? What's on your Christmas list?
This year's actually, I struggled because obviously wanted the house. I can't really put that on the list. But yeah, I think again, like you, sort of a weekend away would be nice. Just sort of, instead of spending present money, put it towards a holiday, spending money. But trying to think actual stuff. I could do with some new socks, really.
I tell you, it gets harder the older you get.
If I need it, I find it at the charity shop or boot sale or just buy it yourself, don't you? I think, yeah. There is a dad's problem in general. I never know what to buy my dad or my granddad or whatever, so The older you get, the harder you get to buy for.
Absolutely. Right, well, thank you for your questions. We didn't get to all of them. If we missed your question, I apologise. But yeah, and thank you for answering.
That's all right.
Thank you for coming up and visiting.
That's okay.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, enjoyed it, yeah. I charge you the fuel money.
And there will be a version of this over on George's channel. There might be some different questions in there that we kept in or I edited out or whatever. So please go and check out George's version of this very video. And I'll see you in the next one. As ever, see, I've nearly forgot. I'll link a video up here.
See, I forgot.
Check this video out. Ta-ra!